When the beat drops, you know exactly what time it is, and time is up for the Buccaneers and their journey to Super Bowl 58. But what a year it has been, David.
I mean, this team exceeded expectations by miles. I mean, their fans should be excited about what's to come. We have plenty to talk about. We're going to talk about Dave Canales leaving Tampa Bay, the upcoming free agents, and who you need to know about entering the fall.
So let's get to it. This is the 10 and 10, the 10 most important things you need to know as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers enter the offseason. So, including the playoffs, the Bucs went 10-9, which is a 2-win improvement. For the first time in franchise history, Tampa Bay won its division 3 straight times. Also, the Bucs hold the longest playoff streak in the conference at 4 consecutive years.
It's really impressive what this group was able to do. They were projected to win 3 games by some people. They accomplished that by the bye week, going 3-1.
But afterwards, they went into a tailspin, lost 6 of 7 games. 5 of those losses by 1 score, including one of the most ridiculous defensive collapses in Houston, resulting in this picture from Baker Mayfield losing 39-37. They lost their grip on the NFC South. Todd Bowles' job was on the line, and then something changed, David.
Yes, some teams would have been planning their vacations in Cancun early, but not this team. They fought all the way until the end. Huge last-minute drive in Atlanta. A perfect game in Green Bay. They demolished Jacksonville, secured the division in Carolina, and then smoked the Eagles at home before sputtering in Detroit. A game where it was tied entering the 4th quarter. A young, mentally tough, and resilient group, and a fun squad to watch mature throughout the season.
I mean, we fought hard all year. We lost like 4 or 5 in a row, and nobody better than us. We kept playing hard each week for each other, and it was cool to be a part of.
We wrote our own narrative for the most part, and we didn't listen to any outside noise. We refused to be the worst team in football because that's not what we were going to be.
But I'm proud of the guys in this locker room. I had an unbelievably fun year, just working with those guys. It was a real treat to work with them.
So here are the key names not under contract for next season. Not going to name all 18 guys, but very top heavy with the likes of Mike Evans, Antoine Winfield Jr., Baker Mayfield, Levante David, and Devin White. Those are all captains. Also to mention Aaron Stinney and William Golston, and guys not pictured in Chase McLaughlin and Greg Gaines.
So before we get into the question marks of who stays and who goes, we know Dave Canales is out of here. At number 9, the Carolina Panthers hired Canales after just 1 season in Tampa Bay, his first as a play caller. The statistics will not wow you from this season. Below average in .4, last in rushing yards, I should say. But this unit was much better in the final 8 games of the season. Also, the Bucs were 7th in the league with plays north of 20 yards between Canales in Carolina and Raheem Morris in Atlanta. The NFC South literally runs through Tampa, David.
Yeah, it sure does. And for the final time, we bring in James Yarko of the Locked On Bucs podcast. And James, a lot of fans are sad about Canales' departure. How big of a problem is it with him not returning, especially given it will be the 3rd time in as many years the Bucs have a new offensive coordinator at the helm?
I don't know if it's a problem so much as it's just really a big disappointment, right? We saw the growing pains of Dave Canales as a first-time offensive coordinator and play caller through the middle of the season. And then we saw him and Baker and the offense really start to hit their stride. You were kind of optimistic if you were a Buccaneers fan about the future of this team and what they can do in year 2 if they all come back together. And now, not only is he leaving, but he's leaving to go to a division rival in Carolina. So the offensive coordinator search that the Buccaneers are conducting are going to be surrounded by, can this guy and his offense work with Baker Mayfield? Can this guy and his offense be one that Mike Evans wants to stay and be a part of? So no matter who it is, whether it's Thad Lewis, who gets promoted from within, or it's an outside hire, you're going to go through those growing pains to some extent yet again. But I don't think it's going to be enough to really derail the progression that this offense made as long as the core really stays together and stays intact.
Thank you so much, James. So the Buccaneers are already requesting interviews for candidates. Zach Robinson comes from the Sean McVay pipeline, would slip right into that Canales scheme well, but Raheem Morris might have something to say about that. Ken Dorsey, Kellen Moore, and Brian Johnson all on the list as well.
So with Canales gone, number 8 is really important. What do you do with Baker Mayfield? Does this change Tampa Bay's thoughts on giving him a sizable contract in the offseason? Would Baker want to find a suitable fit elsewhere? I mean, this was a career year for the former first overall pick. Surpassed 4,000 yards, threw 28 touchdowns to just 10 interceptions. Had a couple of bad plays in Detroit, but ultimately balled out in 2 playoff matches and was surprisingly great under pressure. Struggled a bit throwing the deep ball, but again, ultimately, the locker room loved this dude, and he says he would love to return.
I love this group. I said that all year, and it's authentic. I mean that. And so it would mean a lot for me to bring back a lot of key pieces to get this back together. And can't say enough about this organization for the opportunity they gave me this year.
At number 7, how about Mike Evans? The sole Pro Bowl selection, also earned second-team All-Pro distinction. It is the 10th straight year Evans had more than 1,000 receiving yards. It is the longest streak ever to begin a career and second longest streak overall in NFL history. He led the league in touchdown receptions this season. Evans is one of the greatest Bucs ever, and he would love to return too.
I would love to be back. I love Tampa Bay. Been here my whole career. The city has been great to me. The franchise has been unbelievable to me and my family, and I love this place. So we'll see.
We'd also love to see this guy return, Lavonte David. Just like Evans, he is also one of the greatest players in franchise history. And at age 33, he looked like he was in his mid-20s again. At number 6, if Lavonte wants to come back, Tampa Bay would love to have him. He is non-committal on his future, but his stats this year were ridiculous. He was the only player this season with more than 100 tackles, 15 TFLs, and 3+ sacks. David also surpassed Rondé Barber for second place in the franchise record books for tackles. The crazy part about his season is that he missed 2 games with an injury. If he didn't get hurt, I think we're talking about an all-pro type of year, Evan.
You're absolutely right. And speaking of all-pro seasons, how about the first-timer at number 5, Antoine Winfield Jr.? This man earned himself a whole lot of dinero. He already has the most sacks by a safety in franchise history with 15. He was also the highest-graded safety per Pro Football Focus. Winfield Jr. is one of 4 players since the turn of the century with 5 or more sacks, takeaways, and forced fumbles in a single season. Arguably had the biggest play of the year in Carolina, saving a touchdown at the 1-yard line, an absolute game changer, and a dude who is not going anywhere. I promise you that. So at number 4, let's take a peep towards the biggest needs for this team entering the 2024 season.
And by that, we're going to take a look at the positions we think the Bucs should attack in the upcoming draft in Detroit. Evan and I combined our list, so this is what we came up with. First and foremost, they need a pass rusher, Evan. The defense simply does not have a dude on the edge who can win consistently. Second, I think they need another guard. The interior of the O-line, I think they need another piece too.
Agree with that. Third, let's throw in a DB up there. I lean towards a safety, but you can never have enough corners either. Fourth, linebacker, preferably inside. And fifth, we'll go with wide receiver. Even if Mike returns, they need some depth.
And I know many fans want quarterback to be a priority, and we do not disagree if Baker Mayfield does not return. But when you're drafting so low in the first round, the options might be limited. So it could be best to build around the position, a la the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before Tom Brady came to town. So,
Bingo. And let's hope that Jason Light and company smash the draft like they did last season. At number 3, we saw 11 rookies on this roster entering the Lions game, many of them impactful like Elijah Cansey, Yaya Diaby, Cody Mauch, Trey Palmer. Heck, even Josh Hayes crushed it on special teams. No team had more snaps by rookies than the Buccaneers in 2023. Special shout out to Cansey and Diaby, combining for 22 tackles for a loss. At number 2, we're going to call this My Guys segment. All right, these are the dudes who played a little bit more of a limited role in 2023, who you should expect to see more of in 2024. This is in no particular order. We start first with KJ Britt. He impressed me on the field. Ceiling probably limited, but he's a heady player, captain material. Second, Zion McCollum. He played a lot this year, was up and down, but I think he will be a stud in year 3 with Bowles. Finally, Payne Durham. Cade Otton, he needs some help. Durham was, starting to earn some more snaps late in the season, and I think he will be sprinkled in a bit more in 2024.
And at number 1, I'll mention guys who are on the chopping block, players we expect to be moving on from as we approach the next season. And while Devin White has done some amazing things for this franchise, his time with the Bucs, I believe, has run its course. Was relegated to a backup role, tried to hold out before the season. He ain't coming back.
Nope.
Second, this guy, Ryan Neal, was probably the biggest miss for the team last offseason. Nice guy. He's a dear friend. He's a dear friend of mine, but it didn't work out. Finally, this one really pains me to say this. It's Shaq Barrett. He was honest about his production not being up to par this season. He is paid way too much to have less than 5 sacks. We do expect the Bucs to make a tough cut there.
All right, David, before we get into our conference championship picks, what's the number 1 thought you have entering the offseason about this season?
about this season, particularly this team proved so many people wrong, and including us too. Like, they
Agreed.
really did. Todd Bowles deserves a ton of credit. The captains on that team deserve a ton of credit. There's a lot to be proud of, and I do believe Tampa Bay has something to build on going into 2024.
Yeah, and for me, it's how quickly this team has expedited the rebuild. In my opinion, I think the Bucs are building towards a huge run in 2025. Next year's schedule is going to be a gauntlet, so I already know I'm going to tab 2024 as the year before the year. All right, we got the AFC Championship game on 10 Tampa Bay today between the Chiefs and the Ravens. Kickoff is at 3 o'clock. A trip to Vegas on the line for Super Bowl 58. As for our Blitz pick record, David and I both went with Detroit, So David enters this final episode 2 games back of me, and he will have a chance to tie it if he so chooses. I am not going to go in depth with these picks, but I believe Super Bowl 58 will feature the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending champs, beating Baltimore 17-13, and the San Francisco 49ers, who edged Detroit 28-27.
Those are good picks. I do think Super Bowl 58 will be a rematch of Super Bowl 47. I've got the Ravens taking down the Chiefs at home. I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan, and I think this is his year. Also, that defense, nothing to sneeze at. As much as I respect Dan Campbell and the Lions, I think their run ends in San Francisco. I'm taking the 49ers 31-16. They just have way too many weapons on offense.
All right, well, that is a wrap on Season 3 of The Blitz from the 10 Tampa Bay studio. Give us about a month, and then we'll be ready to pump out the breakaway and talk some Bolts content. For the last time, that is David Shealy. I am Evan Klosky. This is The Blitz. Remember, Super Bowl 58 airs right here on 10 Tampa Bay. We will be right back.